Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth Sampson Lee, author of the book Bound and Gagged by the Thin Blue Line, Sexual Assault, Harassment, and the Broken System Sworn to Protect and Serve. Now I will read you the chapter titled Wednesday, December 12, 2012. Investigation over. The office was quiet when I arrived. Barry wasn't there to make coffee, so I resorted to the half-full vacuum-sealed travel mug I happened to bring in with me and went about my day. At 11:40 a.m., I received the following email from Chief Deputy Blackwell with the subject line internal. It read, I received written responses regarding this internal issue from several members of our office, the county attorney's office, and the court admin office. After reviewing this information, Sergeant Coons was issued a written negative performance directive regarding his actions that prompted your complaint. He has been given direct written orders on the expectations of the sheriff's office on his behavior in the workplace. All employees of the agency will undergo mandatory training and awareness during the January all-hands meeting. If these issues continue, please make your supervisor aware. Please be aware that you yourself, by policy, have the right to tell any member of this agency that their behavior is intimidating, offensive, or making you feel uncomfortable. This response was total bullshit. In no way did it resemble the conversation Blackwell and I had had on Friday when the cover-up was revealed, when he told me he would do a thorough investigation. This is what he came up with? His investigation lasted 2 business days. As soon as it began, it was over. He intentionally did not allow enough time for victims from the community to come forward, not to mention time for in-depth interviews of any kind. And with that make your supervisor aware bit, he seemed to be passing me off to Denise. But making her aware was how I had gotten to this point in the first place. I wasn't sure why the outcome of my sexual assault had been contingent upon responses from several members of our office, the county attorney's office, and the court administration office. Taking appropriate action did not require group consensus. It only required an answer to a simple question. Did he sexually assault her? In this case, the answer was yes. This had never been a he said, she said. No one, Coons included, had ever denied that the assault had happened. Sexual assault is a crime. The Pine County law enforcement officials would arrest and charge any citizen who committed it. But for Coons, those same officials did nothing but excuse him with things like, it was an accident. He didn't mean to offend you. Sometimes he gets so involved with things that he doesn't know what he's doing. And creepy is not a crime. Within minutes of reading the email, I called Anita, Coons' past victim from the county attorney's office, to commiserate. I hoped she hadn't yet left for lunch. Contrary to what Blackwell had told me about other victims becoming part of the investigation, Anita said he told her that her incidents had happened too long ago to be included. The excuse he no doubt threw at anyone else who came forward. Anita had emphasized to Blackwell, as I had, that Coons had a clear pattern of behavior, but her pleas fell on deaf ears too. After hanging up with Anita, I spent my lunch break sorting through my rapid-fire thoughts and riding the roller coaster of emotions. There was no way I could eat. When I left that meeting with Blackwell last Friday, I had felt hopeful. I had trusted that Blackwell would get to the bottom of it as he had promised. I felt proud that I had brought this to the highest-ranking officials in the county. Instead, I was dismissed, lied to, and mocked. It seemed like once the sheriff found out about the investigation, he told Blackwell to stop. He made sure there would be no criminal report on file, no evidence anywhere, really, and Blackwell caved like a true puppet. The next day, only one day after the investigation abruptly ended, I heard the bells jingle on the back door. As always, my heart pounded as I wondered who it was. I could hear footsteps nearing. When Sheriff Cole rounded the corner and stood there in front of me, I reminded myself to remember the sound of his cowboy boots walking across the linoleum for future reference. His visit and entry were both completely unannounced. He pulled a chair from the deputy workspace, wheeled it over near my desk area, and made himself comfortable. He then began to tell me that they took care of the situation and that I should have no further problems. You know, he continued, Sergeant Coons has had a difficult time in his personal life, a divorce years ago. I don't want to hear it, I interrupted. I tightened my posture as I stared him down. We've all had tough times in life, but that doesn't mean we go around sexually assaulting people. He stared back at me through his wire-rimmed glasses. His gray mustache filled the space between his nostrils and his top lip. By the way, I continued, if Coons comes to this office, I'm grabbing my keys and my purse, getting in my car and leaving. You don't have to do that. He put his right foot up onto his left knee, and the hem of his pants crept up to expose the stitching on his cowboy boot. That is what I will be doing, I insisted. He interlaced the fingers on both hands and cupped his bent knee. You don't have to do that, he repeated. What then do you expect me to do? I don't feel safe here. If he comes here, you pick up the phone and call me. I cocked my head and smirked. That's ridiculous. When he assaulted me, he pinned me against my desk so I couldn't reach a phone. I will be leaving if he comes to this office. We'll be putting a police radio in all the offices for the secretaries, he said. You can get on the radio and call dispatch if he shows up. This was nothing but a lame attempt to pacify me. Otherwise, the radio would have been provided when we first moved to Hinckley. I countered his nonsense. So dispatch will send a deputy here to respond like a 911 call? Come on, be serious. That doesn't even make sense. He put both his feet on the floor and leaned back in the chair. It didn't appear he was about to say anything, though, so I continued in a higher volume and at a faster pace. There's something wrong with that guy. You and I both know it, and it's your job as my employer and the sheriff of this county to protect me and other women. With that, he simply changed the subject. He began rambling about the radio tower installation that was planned for the casino roof, the upcoming holiday party, and how he had prepared his own Christmas cards for us and wrote the sentiments himself. I will be leaving if he comes up here. It merited repeating once again. He stood up and said, well, on to the next meeting. I was glad to hear his cowboy boots exit the building. I moved the chair back where it belonged and added, he's had a hard time in his personal life to the list of excuses they made for Coons.